Okay, well, I'm not seeing anyone jumping on here, so I'll get started for the replay viewers. Hey guys. Kind of weird, but I'll introduce myself. My name is Jillian McAvoy. I'm a certified nutritional therapy consultant. You can find me at jillmacnutrition.com. I would love if you would come follow me on Instagram at jillmacnutrition. If you're watching this on the replay and you want to ask me a question, you can tweet me at jillmacntc or come over on Instagram and ask me. So I just want to give a little bit of background about me today. I'm going to be talking about my thoughts about paleo, and I wanted to just start out by talking about my history and how I came to paleo. So growing up my whole life, I was very, very unhealthy. I didn't care about my body. I didn't care about myself. Health was never on my radar. I just assumed, like, everything causes cancer and everything causes diseases, so who cares? Why even bother taking care of yourself? I didn't really understand how food worked in the body. I thought it just mattered how many calories you were eating in a day, and that was the only thing I would even look at on a food label. I would turn it around, look at the amount of calories, the lower the better. If it was low, then I would get it. If it was something like crazy, then I wouldn't. Other times I wouldn't care. I would go through my phases back and forth of eating fast foods and then dieting, like yo-yo dieting, and when I would diet, I wasn't eating real food. I was eating like lean cuisines and smart ones and all those frozen crap that's nasty. And I would always drink like tons of energy drinks, like Red Bulls and Monsters and Rockstars and Amp and all of those, and I would usually go for like the 0-calorie ones which had the artificial sweeteners. I got Burger King and Taco Bell almost every day, and I just never really ate at home. Like, my mom would cook sometimes, but I would never really eat it, maybe here and there. But pretty much every day I was eating out for like all of my meals. Hi, Kimmy. I was talking to myself just now for like the replay viewers. But right now I'm just giving a little background on my history and what I used to eat before I get into my thoughts on paleo. So yeah, so then, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so on top of all the horrible eating, I was also smoking cigarettes from age 13 to 21, and it was like almost a pack a day. And I would binge drink a lot. Pretty much I just didn't care. Like, I don't know, teenager, didn't care about myself, thought that nothing would happen to me, and if it did, like, it was out of my control. Thanks for the hearts. And then, one year I was, like, finally ready. Like, I had tried to quit smoking, like, every year. That was my New Year's resolution, and every year I failed. And then one year I was, like, really serious about it. I'm like, smoking is really bad, and, like, I used to, like, when I would lay down at night, my heart would be, like, racing like this, like, real quick, and it would really scare me, but I just would ignore it, and I was, like, finally, like, alright, I'm killing myself, I need to stop this. And I still, at that point, like, food wasn't on my radar. I still didn't think it mattered what you ate, as long as, like, you weren't fat and, like, you kept your calories down. And I would still drink diet sodas and all, like, crap. So my dad and my mom, like, a lot of people in my family smoked, but me and my dad quit smoking together. We did a 6-week program called Smoke Enders, where you slowly cut back on the nicotine, and also it also takes care of the psychological aspect of it. So getting rid of, like, patterns, like, you would, like, a lot of people who smoke like to smoke right after you eat, so, like, you wouldn't be allowed to do that, and it would be, like, slowly changing things over the course of 6 weeks. So as I got to the end of the 6 weeks, the program actually recommends eating healthy, so that you don't gain weight, since a lot of people gain weight when they quit smoking. It just wants to, like, gear you towards healthy living. And I wasn't really totally sold on that at that point because I still didn't really think food mattered for some reason. I don't know. I didn't think it mattered. And at that time, I was also getting my bachelor's degree in criminal justice. And I had to take a class called Culture and Society, where we were assigned to read In Defense of Food by Michael Pollan. Yeah, it was a great program. I had tried cold turkey many times, cutting down on my own. I failed many times, and that program actually was what finally works for me because it took care of the mental side of it too, not just the physical. So yeah, that was a really cool program. And then I read In Defense of Food by Michael Pollan, and that was like a huge eye-opener to me, life changer. I was just like, wow, like, this is how food works inside the body. Like, I should not be eating these fake foods, and like how he calls them edible food-like substances, and that just like really stuck in my head. I'm like, this isn't food, like, this is fake stuff. And it just all clicked for me, and I'm like, it really is common sense. Like, what was I thinking? Like, obviously, like, I should be eating real food from the earth. Like, people have been doing that for thousands of years. That's how other animals eat. Like, humans are animals too, and like, how could I have not even like thought that before? And in that class, we also watched together Food Inc., and we were taught about Paleo. So that class was like what changed my life. And it just so happened that all of that landed right at the time where I finished the 6 weeks program to quit smoking cigarettes. So it was like, I felt like it was like fate. It was like meant to be right away. Like, I was like so afraid of like the food. I was like, oh my god, like, this is horrible. I need to change my ways right away. But the way they had taught us the paleo diet in class was that you had to eat raw meat. So I was like, oh no, there's no way I'm doing that. That's disgusting. And this was back in the days of BlackBerry Messenger. So I had put a status on BBM that, oh, I wish I could do paleo, but there's no way I'm eating raw meat. Thanks for the hearts. And one of my cousin's friends had seen what I had posted, and he messaged me, and he was like, oh no, you don't need to eat raw meat to be paleo. And he was like, caveman had fire, and like blah blah, and like started telling me about it because he had done it for a while. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I got so excited. I'm like, all right, I can do this. And I had no idea how to cook. I had never cooked in my life except for a couple of times where one time I actually started a fire. And I was not good at cooking. I didn't know what I was doing. So I had to learn how to cook, which I did mostly by following paleo bloggers and looking at their blogs. I would follow the recipe to a T because I had no idea what I was doing. I would text this kid and ask him a bunch of cooking questions, and I would have my mom there with me, and I would be like, what does this mean? And then, like, over time, like, I just would, like, read the recipes and just figure it out, and I learned how to do it, and it really wasn't all that hard. Like, in the beginning, it was, like, especially, like, for me, like, chopping, like, even now, I'm still kind of slow at that, like, so it would take me 2 hours sometimes to cook dinner, but I was determined. And before I did paleo, I had IBS for over 10 years. I had PMS, I had acne, I had all these issues. And when I started paleo, it was like night and day. I lost a bunch of weight, my acne cleared up, my digestion got a lot better, and I was just like so amazed. And I was like, oh my god, this is it. Like, this is it. This is how I'm supposed to be eating. And I was just like, so, yeah. I was like so in it, like I loved it. And then for a period, like the first year I was like on and off. I went back and forth between paleo and vegan because I was just learning about food and I didn't know like what was like the way and like how I should be eating. So I tried vegan for a little while and I felt really, really sick, like I almost passed out one day. Then I decided, all right, I think I need protein. I wasn't really doing it in a proper way. And I went to eat chicken and instantly I felt better. So I was like, okay, that was the problem there. And then I went back then like my old eating habits started creeping their way back in, and I was eating some crap again. And then my IBS came back like really bad, my acne came back, and I went into like a depression for a little while, and I felt terrible. Then I went back to paleo. Then I tried vegan again. Then I went back to paleo. And then that was where I stayed. Then for a little while, I experienced orthorexia. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I pulled up the definition on Google so I could read it to you. Orthorexia is an obsession with eating foods that one considers healthy, or a medical condition in which the sufferer systematically avoids specific foods in the belief that they are harmful. So the second definition there, I don't know how much I agree with that, because, you know, there are some foods that are harmful, and especially for certain people. But the first definition, an obsession with eating healthy food, I definitely went through that for maybe 5 or 6 months, that it was like really, really, really obsessive, where I wouldn't eat anything. If it wasn't completely strict paleo, I would not touch it. When I went out to eat, I would order like the most paleo thing I could find. I wouldn't touch anything else on the table. When I went to my cousin's rehearsal dinner for her wedding, I ate before, and I brought my own salad dressing with me, and all I did when I got there was eat salad. And like I would go to barbecues, bring all my own food, and like everywhere I went, otherwise I just wouldn't eat at all. Yeah. And like there was a lot of times where if I couldn't eat anything, I would just starve myself. I'm like, oh well, that's not paleo, so I'm not gonna eat it. And I was really, really, really thin at this time. I weighed 117 pounds. I am 5'4". And people were telling me all the time that, yo, you're way too skinny. Like, what's wrong? Like, you look like you're disappearing. And I actually saw, I don't know if you guys have the Time Hop app, but I was on the Time Hop app, and I saw I had a status around that time where my sister said to me that I looked like a limp little sweatshirt pile because I was wearing a sweatshirt and it looked like I had no body under there. So I was like really, really thin, but I felt good. I did. Not like completely, not every day, but I was like, oh my god, like this is amazing, like I feel so great, like I'm never gonna get off track at all. But of course that's not sustainable. And then like when I first started doing paleo, every Sunday was my cheat day, and I would eat whatever I wanted, and that worked really well for a while. And then when I got to this obsessive phase, I mean, like, I felt good, I was happy, I felt confident, and, like, I was getting compliments, like, everywhere I went, and, like, some people would comment and say, like, I was too skinny, and, like, some people now will, like, tell me that, oh, yeah, back then, like, you were making me really nervous, you were way, way too thin, and, like, stuff like that. So, I mean, I was like, yeah, like, this is great, like, I was wearing size 2 pants, like, I had really small clothes, I felt good in all my clothes, but I was, like, so obsessive that my mental health, I would say, wasn't that great, because I was, like, too obsessive over food, and I don't think it should be that way. I mean, there are certain health issues where you need to be strict, like an autoimmune condition or other diseases. It really matters what you eat, and I think that is a little different than orthorexia and, like, what I was doing. Like, sometimes it's just a necessity and you have to do those things, but I don't think it was really like that for me. I was just so obsessive and, like, needing to follow this strict set of guidelines, and it wasn't even totally, like, perfect for me. I still had some digestive issues and, like, blood sugar issues. I was eating tons of sweets. Like, I relied on paleo treats, like, a lot. Like, I would eat, like, paleo cake and stuff for breakfast and, like, call that healthy. So basically, I guess you would say I was, like, really dogmatic about paleo, and, like, as long as it was paleo, then I would eat it, and I wasn't really eating balanced meals. Like, I would eat dessert and cookies and stuff like that for breakfast, but they were paleo desserts and paleo cookies, and I'm like, well, it's paleo, so that's fine. Like, I'm healthy. Like, I could eat all these cakes and stuff, and that's fine. And, like, doing that, I was still, like, really thin. So, like, I'm thinking, like, yeah, like, this is fine. And I wasn't really eating healthy, even though I thought that I was. And it was just, like, a big obsession around food. And then, like I said, that's not sustainable. That didn't last too long for me, especially, like, that time was all during the winter. Then the summer came around, and there was barbecues and parties and stuff, and I had a boyfriend at the time, so we would go out and we would go to restaurants. So I pulled back, and I wasn't as strict during that time, and I gained a lot of weight. I would, like, pretty much every weekend I started eating whatever I wanted, like, including, like, pizza and, like, pasta, like, once in a while, with the gluten and everything. So then I started going a little more the other end, where I was eating too much crap, and then, but, like, I was still pretty strict. Monday through Friday, I was completely strict, and then on the weekends, I just didn't care, and that ended up making me gain a lot of weight, and then I went into, like, another depression for a while just about my weight, because I felt so good when I was, like, really thin, and then I gained, over that summer, I gained 20 pounds. So I was like, what's happening? I'm like, I eat so good, like, only on the weekends I'm eating bad. What is this? And it took me, like, a while to accept that. I'm still at that weight now. This was 2 years ago now that this was. I never have been able to lose the weight, so I'm still there now, but I'm okay with it now. Yeah, I feel like this happens to a lot of people. When you start off with paleo, you become, like, really obsessive with it, and then after doing it for a while, you get to a place where you find more balance. Thanks for the hearts. So, yeah, I wanted to talk about that today. This was all 2 years ago. Yeah, this was all before I got certified. Like, this was just part of my journey, part of me learning about food. And for a while I was like, oh my god, like, when I gained weight, I'm like, I can't believe this. I went up 2 sizes in my clothes. I couldn't fit into anything. Like, every day getting dressed was like, would cry, and like I hate this, and like I just didn't feel good about myself anymore, coming from, like, the lighter weight when I felt really good about myself. So I just, like, would have meltdowns a lot, like, almost every day when I was getting dressed, and I just didn't feel, like, good about myself anymore the way I did before. And even though I was starting to feel a little better, I guess, health-wise, because I was eating more, but mentally I wasn't good at that time. Like, I was just like, why am I gaining all this weight? And then I was, like, eating more fat also. So then I started playing around with my diet more, and I'm trying to pull back on the fat and see, like, what's going on. I pulled back on the fat for a while, and nothing happened. I'm like, okay. And I was just, like, really obsessive again, because I'm like, why did this happen? And then I was just like, I would listen to, like, this is one of my favorite podcasts that I've been listening to. This has been recently, the Paleo Women podcast with Stephanie Ruper and Noelle Tarr. That helped me so much with my body image issues. And, like, this is all recently that I finally became okay with my body and just accepted it. And where I'm at now, I'm a lot happier, and I'm a lot, like, better in a mental state. I eat more real food all the time, and less treats. Yeah, it's so good. I, like, wait for it every Tuesday. I'm like, oh yes, it's Tuesday, there's a new episode. But yeah, I've bought all new clothes. I feel good in them. I look in the mirror and I'm like, I look good. Like, I'm fine with how I am. Yeah, there are days where I'm like, oh yeah, like, it would be nice to, like, fit into my old clothes. And, like, a lot of times, like, now, like, long sleeves, like, they squeeze me. So, like, I still, in the winter, I get bothered, like, getting dressed, because I'm like, oh, Oh, thanks. Yeah, like this shirt too, like this morning I put it on, I'm like, I just want to rip this off, like my arms are too big, like I can't wear long sleeves. But I feel a lot more grounded, like I don't eat as much treats anymore, like I try to eat like real food meals, like eggs for breakfast. I put coconut oil in my coffee, collagen, and just eating more actual food. Like I used to rely on treats a lot, so now I'm eating more real food. I feel healthier. I'm working on my issues, and I work out. Like when I first started eating paleo, and at the time when I was like really thin, I didn't even exercise. That was just all from food. And I started gaining weight too when I started exercising. But I feel good. Like I love exercise now. I used to hate it. That's why I just wouldn't do it. But I feel like I'm kind of like addicted to the endorphin rush now. So I love to exercise, and I'm like, whatever. I feel good. I don't care. I think my body looks fine. Like there's no need to obsess over it anymore. And like I'm finally at a place where like I'm okay. But I did want to talk about paleo treats also. I feel like there's a lot of people in the paleo community who like hate on paleo treats and say, you know, that's not healthy and you should never eat them because you don't find that stuff in nature. And like even though I said in the beginning I used to rely on them like way too much, like I would eat cookies and cake and stuff for breakfast, and then sometimes like that would even be my lunch too. Just because like I would be in a rush and I'd be like, let me just grab this cake and leave, or like have a banana with almond butter. I wasn't really eating full meals, but I think paleo treats are a good thing, because if I didn't do that in the beginning, I might have never stayed with it. I don't think I would have been okay with the fact that I could never have dessert, I can never eat a cookie again. I think including treats is like really a great thing to have when you're first starting out on paleo, transitioning off the standard American diet. You're used to eating stuff like that, and you want muffins and you want bread and you want stuff like that. So I think they're actually a good thing. Yes, they should be eaten in moderation. They should still be considered treats. They shouldn't be eaten every day for every meal the way I was doing before. But I think they're very helpful when you're transitioning into paleo and you feel like you're missing those foods. Hello, hi, how are you? Oh, thanks for inviting people. I'm like in the middle here, but you can catch the replay to see what I said in the beginning. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, paleo treats. So I think when you're first coming to paleo, they're a huge help. You don't want to feel like you're deprived and you're missing out on all your favorite foods. And even still now, I feel like once in a while it's okay to have a treat. Like I'm going to make, my sister's birthday was yesterday and she requested that I make her a chocolate pudding pie. I didn't get a chance to make it on time, so I'm going to make it today for her. And she said herself, better late than never. So I'm going to make her a chocolate pudding pie that's paleo friendly, and we're all going to enjoy it and we're going to love it and we're not going to feel guilty and we're going to move on. I eat paleo treats a few times a week, and that's what works for me. I think, yes, if you have like a sugar addiction or like blood sugar issues and stuff like that, you definitely want to try and keep them to a minimum. But if you're just coming into paleo and you don't know what to do and you don't want to give up your favorite foods, I think creating a paleo version of them is actually really helpful, and it'll make you feel like at least you're still having that thing that brings you comfort, because food is more than just nutrients and fuel for our body. We eat food with our families, and it's mental, and we enjoy it for many other reasons. So I tend to disagree with the people who say you should never ever eat paleo treats, because I think food brings you joy, and like I like to eat a muffin once in a while. I like to be able to eat a cake once in a while. And even if it turns out to be every day one week, like okay, whatever, like that happened, move on. no big deal. When I first started paleo, like I said, I would have my cheat day every Sunday, and if I ate something that wasn't paleo on a day that wasn't Sunday, or a day that I didn't plan, like a holiday, I would feel so guilty about it, and I would obsess over it. I don't do that anymore. And I really feel like it's worse to be so stressed out about the food and feel guilty than it is to just eat the food. Like, just eat it and get over it and move on and do better the next day or the next meal or whatever. It really makes a huge difference in your mental health and how you feel about everything, and like, you're just so much calmer when you don't care. I feel like you even lose weight easier because you're not so obsessive, not so stressed out and making your body hold on to fat. It's just, I feel like so much more free now that I let go of like the obsessiveness, and like, if I want to eat something, I'm gonna eat it. I choose not to most of the time because I am very sensitive to the foods that I eat. Like, the other night I went out to a vegan restaurant for my sister's birthday, and like, pretty much everything there, it was a raw vegan restaurant, and like, pretty much everything there was made of nuts, which I'm pretty sensitive to nuts, but I ate a lot of stuff. I was hungry, and I had like major digestive issues for 2 days afterwards. Like, I'm still a little bit messed up. This was like 2 days ago that we went. And I know that nuts give me an issue, but I ate them anyway, and I'm dealing with it. So like, most of the time I'm pretty good with eating like the right foods for my body because I don't want to feel like crap. So I save them for like special occasions, or like sometimes I'll have a craving like really hard, and I'm like, whatever, I'm just gonna eat it. And I like to enjoy everything about life. I believe in balance. Like, when I go on vacation, I'm gonna not think about food. I'm just gonna eat the stuff, try everything. Holidays, I want to eat whatever I want. My birthday's coming up in 2 weeks. I'm gonna eat whatever I want that day. And yeah, like, I don't really like to feel deprived all the time. Like, paleo changed my life for the better. I love paleo. I still consider myself a paleo person, but I'm not like so obsessive and strict about it. I guess I follow more of like the 80-20 rule, and on the weekends I'm still a little less strict because it works for me mentally. Like, being so obsessive is really not sustainable, and just knowing that, okay, like, I can eat this and then whatever, just move on and like eat something healthy at the next meal really gave me a sense of freedom, and I just feel so much better. Like, I really do feel like it's like a lifestyle. I've been eating paleo for 4 years now, and also 4 years since I quit smoking, since I did that all at the same time. So it really is a lifestyle. It's not just a fad diet, a temporary diet. It's a change, so you don't need to be perfect about it. And when you're like so perfect, thank you, and then you mess up and you feel like your whole world is crashing down and it becomes a big stress, like, that's even worse for you, I feel like. Like, you might as well just eat whatever you want sometimes, like, and then take care of your body. Like, I like to eat pretty healthy, like, Monday through Friday, and stay, like, decently strict paleo. I mean, I do eat white rice now, and I eat some other stuff that's not really paleo, but it's still real food, and I'll do that during the week. And like, on the weekends I'll eat cheese, which I don't eat during the week because I don't like to eat cheese every day. It does upset my stomach sometimes, but cheese is really good, so like, I want to eat it. So that's just what keeps me sane. Like, I don't like being told that I can't have something ever. So knowing that I can have something like when the weekend comes, or if I'm like really craving it, or it's like someone's birthday and we're going out somewhere nice, like, I'm gonna enjoy myself, and I'm not gonna sit there thinking about, oh my god, this isn't perfect paleo, like, I can't eat this. And I used to be like that, and I am happier now. I feel more balanced, and I don't eat as much treats anymore. I'm eating more real food, and yes, my weight has went up. I also built a lot of more muscle, and I feel like my body looks nice. Yes, like I don't fit into my size 2 pants anymore, but I bought some bigger pants, and I'm fine with that. Like, I feel fine. Yeah, some days I'm like, yeah, I can lose some weight, and like that would be fine. But if I don't, that would be fine too. I'm just enjoying day by day, eating real foods and following paleo in a way that works for me, which brings me to my next point that I wanted to talk about, which was bio-individuality and doing what works for you. Just because, like, the paleo diet is, like, a specific guideline of how to eat. Like, you don't have to eat exactly that way. We're all different. We have different bodies. We have different lifestyles. Our bodies work differently, and there's certain foods that can be, like, really, really healthy for me and make me feel great, but if you eat the same food, you feel like crap, and you need to lay in bed, or you need to run to the bathroom. So there's no such thing as a perfect diet that works for everyone. There's no one magic answer that is there for all of us. It really takes trial and error and listening to your body. Like, I can tell you all I want, like, you need to eat coconut oil, like, it's amazing for you, and then you eat it, and you know it's making you feel bad, and you just keep eating it because I told you it's healthy. No, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be listening to your body. You don't listen to other people. Listen to your body. If you don't feel good from a certain food that everyone else says is healthy, don't eat it. I mean, if it's like something you really love and once in a while you want to eat it as a treat, go ahead. But I'm saying in the context of like trying to follow some perfect diet or some perfect plan made for you by someone, there could be foods on there that are, excuse me, that are known to be really healthy, but they just don't work for you. So I think paleo can work for everyone because it's not like a totally strict diet. There's a lot of gray areas. It's not black and white, and you just do what works for you, make it work for you. It's not all about eating tons of meat. Yes, I do believe that you need to eat animal products, but it really should be mostly vegetables with a little bit of meat. And even if you don't want to eat meat, you don't have to eat meat. You can have eggs and dairy. Okay, so the typical strict paleo diet is pastured animals, like meat from chicken, beef, pork, seafood, wild-caught seafood, pastured eggs, vegetables, fruits, nuts and seeds, and you eliminate grains, dairy, legumes. Some strict versions say no alcohol, but I think it's okay if you have like certain types like red wine or like gluten-free beer. It's like okay. But that's like pretty much like the paleo. I call that the paleo template. Like, start there, eliminate those foods, and eat the foods that are suggested, and then go from there. You could add in what you think would work for you. Like, for example, say you really love black beans and you want to eat them, but they're not considered strict paleo. I would say take them out for a while, eat strict paleo for like a few months, see how you feel, and then one day add in the black beans and see how you feel. If you feel great, then eat them, why not? If you feel like crap, then they're not working for your body and I wouldn't eat them. So I always say do what works for you, do your own version of paleo, but when you're first starting out, I do think it's a good idea to start with the regular, like, strict paleo for a little while and see how you feel with that. And then if you want to add back in other foods one at a time and just notice how your body is reacting to them, that's fine. Everybody's paleo diet is going to look differently. It's not like, I don't know, what to compare it to, but it's not like a totally like strict set of rules. Like my paleo diet can be different than the next and the next and the next person's. Like everyone's can look a little differently. But my main guidelines, I would say, eat mostly vegetables, include healthy fats like coconut oil, grass-fed butter, grass-fed ghee. Well, if you know you have a dairy problem, I would probably leave out the butter and stick with the ghee. Avocados, and definitely include some protein. But I do think it's possible to be healthy vegetarian also and do like a kind of vegetarian like paleo, like a strict paleo diet. Technically dairy would not be included, but again, that's one of those gray area foods that many people who consider themselves paleo, they do eat dairy, like grass-fed dairy. I myself eat it sometimes. I even eat chickpeas now sometimes. I eat quinoa. I eat white rice. I eat buckwheat sometimes. So I did strict paleo for a while, and now I'm 4 years into my paleo journey, and I do include other foods. So it is all very personalized to you. Like I said, we're all different. You really need to listen to what your body is telling you, and a really good way to do that is to keep a food journal and just write down everything you're eating, and then within 1 to 2 hours after you eat, just like write down how you feel digestive wise, or like even like mood wise, energy wise, like how are you feeling, and just keep a note of that. And then you can look back in it and see if there's any patterns, like, oh, like I noticed the last like 3 times I had beans, I had a lot of bloating and gas, so you know, okay, beans are probably an issue for me. Or, oh, the last like 5 times I ate nuts, I broke out. Alright, I can't eat nuts. So just figuring out like what works for you. And it's basically like designing your own diet based on real foods that are found in nature, organic preferably, grass-fed animals from the farm, and just, again, doing what works for you. Like, it's not a strict set of like, you have to do it exactly this way and eat exactly these foods, and we all eat exactly the same. So I think that's why there's also a lot of confusion when it comes to paleo, since it's not a strict set of guidelines. Everyone does it their own way, but that's also the beauty of it and what makes it so great and why it works for so many people, because everyone has their own version of it and does it in a way that works for them. So just because something is known to be this incredible health food doesn't mean that it will be like that for you. If you are experiencing issues with avocado or something else that you know is healthy, pull it out and see what happens. And then you could try adding it in later and see, maybe you just need it to heal your gut, and maybe now it's fine. Or maybe there's some food that paleo says is bad, but you know that you feel good when you eat it. Eat it. Like, I eat white rice now, and like, that's technically not paleo since it's a grain, but a lot of people who consider themselves paleo do eat white rice, and I haven't noticed any issues with eating that, so I like to include it. It's all a little experimentation, and if you fall off and you eat pizza or something, like, it's not a big deal. Just get back up and try again the next time. That doesn't mean, okay, I messed up one time and now I'm just going to eat cake and donuts and pizza and not care anymore. No, you just eat the one thing, enjoy it, and then move on and continue working towards your goals and taking care of your body. And I also, the last thing I wanted to mention is my views on cheat days. So I also have seen in the paleo sphere, some people don't like the idea of cheat days. They don't believe in the 80-20 approach. Like, they think you should be strict all the time. And I'm sure from what I've already mentioned, you guys know I don't believe that, especially with my own experience of orthorexia. And in fact, I kind of view them, people saying, like, you should never ever have a cheat day, as maybe having some orthorexia. Because that's not sustainable. Like, in the real world, it's not possible to never ever cheat, and I say cheat in quotes. You know, life happens, there's gonna be weddings, there's gonna be birthday parties, there's gonna be holiday parties, and sometimes you just want to eat the food and be part of it, and what's wrong with that? Like, that doesn't make you a bad person, and you shouldn't feel guilty about it, and you shouldn't be like, oh my god, I'm gonna gain so much weight, or oh my god, I'm gonna get a terrible disease because I ate this food this one time. Like, it's really not that big of a deal. I think you should enjoy every part of life. If you know something's gonna make you super sick, I wouldn't eat it. Then it's probably not worth it. Or maybe you're really craving it, eat it, experience the sickness, and then say to yourself, was that worth it? Am I going to do that again? Because you probably will notice the next time you see that food, you're not going to want to eat it again, because you're going to remember how bad it made you feel. And you're not going to think that it's worth it. Maybe you will sometimes, because that happens to me sometimes. But most of the time, like, for example, yesterday, I was at a workshop, and they were giving out pizza. Everyone there ate pizza, and I said no, because I knew that was going to give me a major stomach ache, and I didn't want to deal with that. So I said no, thank you. Everyone's like, oh, are you sure you don't want a pizza? I'm like, no, I don't want a pizza. And a lot of times, even, like, my mom will try and get me to eat pizza. I'm like, that makes me feel like crap. I don't want to eat it. Like, it's not worth it to me. But then there will be those once-in-a-while days where I get this, like, insane craving for pizza, and I'm like, alright, I'm gonna have pizza. But I don't get, like, regular pizzeria pizza. Like, I'll get the frozen, grain-free pizzas, and I enjoy that, and it still bothers me a little bit, but not as much as the regular pizza, so that's what I have if I'm craving pizza. But it's all just thinking to you, like, is it worth it? Sometimes it'll be, like, some, like, really good dessert or anything, and you'll be like, you know what, it is worth it. I don't care that I'm going to have a stomach ache because this is so good, and then whatever, that's your choice, and you're going to do that, and you're going to be fine. You just move on and don't stress out, like I've been saying. So I think cheat days should be included, especially for someone who feels deprived or feels like, oh my god, all this restriction is too much, and then they just give up and binge eat, like, everything in sight because they feel so restricted. Like, if you know that's you, then allow yourself to have a cheat day, or maybe allow yourself to eat, like, chocolate or something every day in moderation, just a little piece, if you can do that. Just, it's all about finding out what works for you and your personality. So I don't really see paleo as, like, a diet or, like, a fad like a lot of people say it is. It's really a lifestyle, and it's just about eating real whole foods that are found in nature and eating them in a way that serves your body. You don't need to listen to what anyone is telling you to eat. Just listen to what your body is telling you. When you eat this food, how do I feel? Just listen. If you feel like crap, then you know. But anyway, this video was kind of long. See, I'm losing people. So I think you guys get the point. If you have any questions, please come ask me over on Instagram at JillMacNutrition, or tweet me at JillMacNTC. I will be putting this video on my blog, JillMacNutrition.com, and if you're watching it here on my website, then you could just leave a comment below and I will answer any questions you may have. Thanks for being here. Oh. Having one of those days where Periscope doesn't want me to go.